Our story, Every Falling Star, takes place in a country called North Korea. North Korea was formed in 1948 in September of that year. It began with World War II, which went from 1930 to 1945. In World War II, Japan took over almost all of Asia. They claimed all the North Korean peninsula, and when the U.S. dropped the two atomic bombs, Japan soon withdrew from the war, and all their colonies turned into occupation. The Soviet Union took over China, which is a communist state, and sealed into North Korea, which is the official communist state in 2019. After 3 years after the war, Kim Il Sung, came into power and started the Kim dynasty. Our story, Every Falling Star, takes place in a country called North Korea, on the eastern side of China. To understand our story, you must go back to 1948, with the formation of Korea. North Korea, that is. And World War II was a big player in this. In World War II, Japan took almost all of Asia. They claimed all of the North Korean peninsula. When the U.S. dropped the two atomic bombs, Japan soon withdrew from the war, and all three of their colonies went into occupation. And the Soviet Union took over China, which soon led to North Korea proclaiming itself to be a communist state. 3 years after the war, Kim Il Sung came into power, which started the Kim dynasty. The Korean War was when the two sides officially divided, not among the 30th parallel like it used to be, but among the DMZ zone. Both sides wanted power, and after a long drawn-out war, South Korea declared itself a capitalist state, with North Korea declaring itself a communist state and having South Korea become a stronger country. The DMZ zone is a highly militarized and restricted zone. Here we go to 1991 with the fall of the Soviet Union. December 26, 1991, the Soviet Union falls. Boris Yeltsin comes into power, stops all economic aid going to communist states. The North Korean famine begins. What is economic aid? Economic aid is when the Soviets were supplying North Korea. What were they supplying them with? Regular shipments of food, oil, supplies, and materials for construction and life in the country. And they had a dependence on Soviet aid, and that soon increased over a long time. The North Korean famine was between 1994 and 1998, and that is when the dependence for Soviet aid became so strong that they didn't have any other system of getting food or supplies, and then the Soviet Union fell. The Arduous March, official North Korean name for it, was the first rebellion that the people had against their new leader, Kim Il Sung. The Soviet imports ceased because they fell. Economic mismanagement from being a new country, because they were just thrown into this whole being a country thing. They were like, hey, we're falling, you guys are just a colony, now you're a full country. Series of droughts and floods ruined lands for farming. Failure of public distribution system, which is why they went to communism, because it already set up for them. This killed 250,000 people to 3.5 million people. It's not an exact number because of North Korean records were destroyed. This will soon lead to Sung-Yu Lee, and his family. Sung-Yu's family. His father had a government job. He was a military officer, it is proclaimed. His mother was a teacher. They live in Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea, which is right here. He went to school every day, top of his class, did taekwondo, and had a car and plenty of food. Sung-Yu Lee himself was at the top of his class, very active, wanted to follow in the path of his government and be a military leader. He was class president in Jungseong-yeog, and Sung-Yu had many luxuries that people in North Korea did not have. Now, he recalled everybody in North Korea liking what they had, because when the Soviet Union fell, they wanted to destroy all evidence of the Soviet Union to become its own communist state and not be aided. The famine slowed this down, and then once they had enough money, or they told everybody they had enough money, they started a new rebuilding process. So, life in Jungseong-yeog, which is right here, and Pyongyang is a little bit this way. 1997, 3 years after Kim Il Sung's death, his family was kicked out of Pyongyang. Went on vacation, as the mother said, to Jeongseong, which is a poor city where you are punished. Live in a small, cold concrete house smaller than Sung-Yu's doghouse. His family became more poor they went on because they had to sell all of their things and quit school to find more food, because surviving was the only thing that they could do. Ekejubi means gang, a gang of poor children. Consists of Sung-Yu, Chuho, Yunsik, Myungchil, Singchil, Munguk, and Youngbum. Youngbum and Minchil will died. And then to control political ideas, North Korea has Shingmu, political and physical officers whose job it is to lead kids in the way of the government, to any future political defectors, and bring up a generation of people who are against the regime and not for the regime that is happening right now. We go into the year 2000, where Sungyu lives in these punishment camps. Shangmu camps is where Kachobis go for punishing and stealing or rebelling against the government even. Sungyu and his gang get stuck into one. His harsh treatment from other inmates and guards soon will prevail, and they make a deal with guards to steal for guards and get rewarded, which will eventually lead to them being able to escape, and this will continue to steal from vendors and merchants. These camps are prison camps where it's made to kill people, possible political refugees, so people don't get out of the country, and to limit people from spreading negative theories on the regime to decrease the UN involvement in North Korea. From 2000 to 2001, they continue to steal, they fight other gangs for territories, they will suffer a loss. Young Bum will soon die from a fight. The group goes into a small mourning period with now having 2 members die, Young Chill and Young Bum. And they travel along the eastern North Korean coast to put up port cities and lots of territories, and gangs will work under them. 2003, we get the development and we get a great escape. Sungyu will eventually escape, and the Ketchubi will eventually separate. He gets smuggled into China and then goes into an airport where he thinks he's flying to Hanguk, which is northern city in China, but ends up in South Korea. Sung-yu will then go to the United States after South Korean aid helps him get money and get on his feet. Most people try to go through the DMZ zone, which is right here, which is heavily guarded by American North and South Koreans. So, North Korean development as a whole. GDP per capita is $1,700 USD. For US, it's 59 million. Now, North Korean GDP is 30 billion, US is 19 trillion. 10% of North Koreans have a standard constant income, while 4.7 in the US do not. That's a big difference, from 90% to almost 95%. Below the poverty line, North Korea not known, but is projected to be 70%, and US is 13.5% of people. Present day, North Korea is a country that has made several enemies through social media and many strides to make peace. North Korea can be seen as a struggling country to the last official communist ran state. Through its controversial regime, while it is right next to socialist country China, they have been distancing themselves from Korea for many years. North Korea spends most of its budget in developing on missiles instead of helping the population. This is Every Falling Star by Sung Yu Lee, who is a political refugee of that country.